Hello and welcome to our playoffs predictions and review fantasy, all sorts for EPL as the group stage has just ended. You'll have to bear with the two of us as it's flu season and we're in the UK.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a difficult one.
So
Too many people about.
Yeah, it's going to be
They've
a
all
tough
forgotten
one.
that there's a pandemic.
Yeah. We also the schedule with this stage is Group D ended on Sunday, playoffs start on Tuesday, so hopefully you'll be able to see Brandon build his team because we haven't got his team yet, and I will be able to show off Freddie's team, but they aren't here because the schedule is so bloody tight for this whole event.
Yeah, it's not ideal, really, is it?
It's a tough one. So, just initially, Group D ended C9 first, Fury second, Liquid third, EG fourth, Eternal 5 fifth, and Movistar sixth. If I had picked them properly, because I put EG third, they almost did get third. I just want to put that out there. They almost did. I probably would have had the bottom three correct. I had Liquid first, and then I had C9 second, and in third I had EG, fourth I had Furia. Furia, to me, were a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Cascarato was a lot better than I thought he was going to be. My God, he carried that team.
He really had a game.
Yeah,
he had a game. He had a group, if anything. I haven't seen that Cascarato in a long time.
Yeah, the fact that he's managed to refine that form is why they did so well. What was your group prediction, Emu?
My group prediction, I had Liquid, Cloud9,
okay,
Eternal Fire, Movistar, Furia, and then EG.
Okay, you know what? Eternal Fire didn't look too bad. Xantares is insane. Woxic managed to regain a bit of his form since he's not IGLing anymore. Besides that, Movistar looked horrific in most circumstances.
They look, without some bias, they look a little bit lost. The whole change of style due to the AWP change, like, it's not even just like a take out a slightly better AWPer and put in a slightly worse AWPer. It's completely changing the style.
Yeah, the voice of a second voice in that team is gone. And Brandon had C9 first, I believe. And Movistar
Brandon
last.
and Freddie both had C9 last, and he had Brandon had Eternal Fire in last.
Okay.
And then he had Movistar second last.
Okay. But Brandon got
his
first.
Liquid and Furia were the wrong way around. But he had them both. He had them like right, but the one not in second and third. Like,
yeah, I think Brandon and Freddie both had all three teams to qualify that qualified. Just in the order.
I'm impressed they got the Furia one right. I wasn't a believer, I must admit.
I also wasn't convinced that they were gonna do as well as they did, and it's like we were saying though. You know, Yuri needs to step up, and he did fine, but Casarato was in the form, you know, of when he's been playing at his peak. So, I mean, what can you do? Like,
you can't do anything. It was outstanding. He's been like the best Brazilian player for a little while. But I've not seen that performance out of him.
I think
in a long time.
Their game against Liquid was very much the, you know, just the individuals turning up for them, and I think Liquid probably could have gone through at a better result. I mean, they 2-0'd C9, right, or 2-1, and I feel like their loss to Furia could have been, and to Eternal Fire could have been wins, but OC has just had a stinker of a group. He didn't.
It's a 2-0 club. I was expecting a lot better about OC, and I know that, you know, there's been a little bit of flack coming in his way from Twitter. People have been like, "Well, I've seen this guy hyped up like he's the North American."
It's a shame because he's had,
what's his name?
One real poor showing.
What's his example?
The foreign tweet. You
the fellow that went to OG, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, he compared him to Monazy, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of someone else.
No, yeah, he compared him
to Dexter.
Yeah.
I thought I was thinking Dexter, but he compared him to Monazy, and he's like, like, people are hyping him up to be their name Monazy, but I just don't really see it against the tier one.
I think
I can say it's fair enough, but
to be fair to him, he's done well up until this point. Like, I mean, maybe not the levels of an AWPer that you like in terms of tier one. I personally have been very impressed with how he's implemented himself into the squad, but this group stage, he didn't show in my opinion, what he can do, and I feel like if he doesn't replicate that, then they are going to struggle hard against Fnatic when they play them, and they're not going to make a deep run here unless OC does turn up, and that for me is what led them to do it, because Yukinda can only carry so much. That overpass game against C9,
it was nuts.
18 kills in 9 rounds, and then he continued and continued and
And
continued.
like, he's playing entry as well, like the amount of entry kills.
It's the fact I watched the highlight of him. He's like getting rifle kills on Banana on overpass, and then one round he's just AWPing, and then he just decides to put the AWP away and get 2 USP kills in that round as well. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you are insane.
He was all over the place. Absolutely mad. Like, he's put the whole of Liquid on his back with that one and got them into the qualify. Like, I
think Naf had a good showing as well.
Yeah,
Naf played well.
Any naffers?
I'm a big Naffer. I'm very happy he made it through. And he played really well, like overall. There's been a few issues with like consistency. Sometimes he's struggling to find that, but I feel like now that they're building this team with Yukinda in mind, I feel like once they sort out the kind of role clashes with Elige and Yukinda, and Elige really gets himself solidified where he wants to be playing, then I feel like they'll be all right. But I'll cope.
You've got Yukinda doing an all right job of kind of steering the ship, making impact with the entries, finding places on the map to go. You've got Naf, who's a little bit of a kind of a solid anchor kind of thing, a little bit on the more baity side, but he's there and he's making a bit of an impact. And then you've got OC, he's the up and coming AWPer, right? And NA, he might have fallen off a little bit, but everyone's expecting things to happen. You've got Elige, who used to be respected as the best player in NA. It's like, it seems like the only thing you're really missing is like a star rifler. Like, imagine if that team had like a star. It's just such a shame there's no like NA star riflers around that they could have got their hands on.
No, but
like,
they've got
Valorant
Pro, ex Valorant champion. Let's just say.
Can you imagine like that EU talent Twists on that roster, for example? Can you imagine if they had a Twists over in NA?
He's such. He's probably going to be one of the best French players right now.
In my mind, yeah, 100%.
I really hope, being from Canada, he speaks French.
I thought Swiss was Swedish, wasn't he? He was on.
Oh yeah. I remember him when he played in an IP. Yes, yeah. What a talent! What a talent! Played in a deathmatch with him the other day, actually. But yeah, I can't remember what his name was in there. It was something stupid, like I can't remember what it was. It was something stupid, but yeah. At
least didn't run into Draken, he'll accuse you of cheating.
Oh no, don't worry, I'm not that good. But Twist.
You don't need to be that good to beat Draken.
Yeah, you just got to be in the angles, haven't you?
Outside of the 30-degree window.
I'm sad that Twist isn't on Liquid anymore, because when Liquid had that roster, that was one of my favourite rosters. That was when I was, for any NA event, Liquid, any EU event, I was with Nip. When they come together, I was usually with Liquid because Nip dropped out and they were dog. But that was another era. That was and they've continued to be very unimpressive. But Liquid, hey, they're in playoffs. Where's Nip at?
You didn't let me get in there.
Let me throw my own slack down so that you don't have to slaughter them even more than they've been. Like, I love Ninjas in Pajamas. The moves have been questionable. We'll have that discussed in some following videos coming out about the RMR, which will have Brandon will be hosting instead of myself, and you'll see Hawker and Dinko and Yumi. So we've got some great talent coming up for that. But they'll discuss the NIP changes. All I'm saying is I'm concerned as an NIP fan, but as a Liquid fan, I am happy where they are. I just need OC to turn up, and I feel like that's what everyone who wants to support Liquid and give hope to NA, because the other team here is Complexity, and if we look now at the bracket for the playoffs, they face FaZe in their first game. You could not have. They were celebrating, they were cheering when Heroic beat Astralis. Yes, we've qualified. Oh no, we're against FaZe.
Against FaZe.
It's like, well. And
you can be sad that Twist left Liquid, but you can be happy for him because he's.
Oh yeah, he's done so much and consistently one of their top players.
Such a good decision.
So what we're gonna do whilst we discuss this is HLTV has an inbuilt pick'em, which is lovely for us and makes it easy. So we're going to go through, discuss each matchup, probably disagree on a fair few when it comes to vitality.
Oh no!
And yeah, we'll see what we come up with, have a pick'em down, and then we'll look at some of the fantasy teams that we have. So, phase complexity. Do we need to talk about it?
I think we can see Floppy popping off on this one.
I think yeah, it's the Grim Show.
2-0 phase.
2-0 phase.
2-0 phase.
I think we'll put phase through without much question. However, I do think this could be more competitive than it is on paper. I think the way that Fang played in the group stage, I think is very, very promising for them as a team. I still think Hulzerk needs to have more impact on that AWP. But I think it was Grim, Fang, Hulzerk, then Floppy. But the roles that Floppy plays is always like, quick, get into secret on nuke. Quick, get down the vent. You know, it's always these roles where it's like, cool, make a nuisance of yourself. Do this. Break the glass. Make noise. You know, just be a dick. Really, that's his role. Is like, how much can you piss off the enemy to confuse them? And it's a great role. I love the way he plays it, and he plays it well. And the amount of rounds that he got for complexity just by doing that on nuke is incredible. So I think he's great in what he's doing. But I think Hulzerk is the talking point as well for like, he needs to be up there with a bit more impact, because there are a few games where I was seeing and he's just kind of middle of the pack, and it's not bad, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but I think if they want to get to the next level and they want to beat a phase, well, your AWP needs to turn up, because you're going up against Brokey, the man who 1v5s, you know, on nuke, the map that they like to play. What else are you going to do? You've got Rain, who is just still with, like, he's on form. I don't understand how, but he still is after all this time. Twists, he will just headshot everybody. Rops will just come at you from any angle that you don't expect him to.
He's lurking. He's always a rat.
And
he's
think,
a rat. I just think pound for pound, the amount of talent, you just can't. There's no room.
I really like the Org of Complexity, and I'm happy that they've made it through, but I don't think...
I love good old Jason Lake, but he's near airport.
Yeah, they'll be ready to fly out.
It just is. He got tickets ready.
A more competitive matchup, Fnatic Liquid. I think it's more competitive. I know there's a lot of people that are seeing Fnatic in this position and kind of just writing them off.
I think Fnatic wins this 2-1.
I'm worried about this, because I don't disagree with you that they can win it, and I think it will be 2-1 if they win it. I think it's going to be a 2-1 scoreline either way, but for the cope inside of me, I think they've had Liquid.
I think they've had longer to prepare for the playoff stage. I think they've had an advantage in seeing, you know, Liquid play more recently. And obviously they've been more focused on coming into the stage than Liquid has. Liquid has had all these games to play, and they've been the last group to play. And yes, I know that's trivial, but it's also a factor. I think Fnatic made a good showing in the group they were in, and they'll probably come out of this looking even stronger. They've had all these practice days, all this time on land to gel together, come together, get more used to, you know, and as a squad, which is what you need. And I don't see Liquid as being, you know, up to the task. They're not as solid.
I definitely agree. I think that for me, it's more coming down to the IGLing. I think Messi performed great in the groups, and he fragged, which is a concern that we all had when we were discussing it. Nitro is looking as if he's probably not going to frag, but when you've got the likes of Yakinda mid-rounding, who's able to perform the way he does, and then also be there as someone with so much experience for his age, and he's able to mid-round with you, I think just Nitro plus Yakinda, and Yakinda is putting up numbers for the pair of them. Is that going to be better than Messi?
Can you expect that of Yakinda, like, for the foreseeable, though, for this playoffs? Like, can you expect it every game? Because I think he's great, but, like...
Fnatic, I feel that...
That'd be a nice big crowd.
Fnatic's difficult, because there's not much for them to look at, right? Like, in terms of Tier 1, yeah, they have Group A that you can look at. But NiP looked like complete... dog. They were bad, And the other teams in that group that they lost to were Na'Vi, Vitality, and Spirit. Well, they beat Spirit. Sorry, they lost to
they won
Vitality
3 of
and
their
Na'Vi.
games.
And they're teams that just, I don't even think you could necessarily say, I think they're just better units, and Vitality, although newer, I feel like the pieces are just, they were ready to work better. So I would say that Liquid win this, just based on experience, especially on a stage environment. I like Roy, I like Nicholas, I think they're great players, but Fasha, has he got that tier 1 stage experience?
No, but of all the people on Liquid who don't really have that tier 1 stage experience, you can.
But I don't worry for him. I think that man has like an unbelievable amount of confidence. OC, on the other hand, well, you say that, but they did play on Cologne playoffs on LAN.
Yeah.
They didn't do well, but they did play there.
They played there.
I'd like to put Liquid. I hope I can sway you.
I've already got Fnatic down, mate.
Okay, well, for the purpose of this, then.
For the purpose of this, I'll let you have it. You agree with it.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
I personally am in the Fnatic camp. But
well, do we agree that either of these teams, Fnatic or Liquid, will beat Mouse?
Oh, yes, yeah. No.
You don't.
I believe Mouse wins.
Okay.
I believe Mouse wins.
Well, we'll get into that discussion again in a second then. But if you don't believe that either of those teams beat Mouse, then it doesn't really matter who goes there. For your sake, at least. Heroic Na'Vi. I think Na'Vi take this.
Na'Vi take that.
I think Heroic... Well, the thing is with Na'Vi, right? They didn't look great. They lost the endpoint 2-0. And Simple's been doing nothing but playing Valorant.
That's the classic Na'Vi, though. They show up at a tournament, they lose to some shit team, and then they win everything. You're like, what happened on day one where you lost to Flipside?
Yeah.
With bloody world on it. What happened when you lost? Why did you lose to Quantum Belater Fire? What's happening? But Endpoint was there. Was their day one? Well, not day one, but their group stage random loss. We go Na'Vi, and then they go and win the whole tournament. I don't know.
It's the same that FaZe do as well.
It's hard for me to count them out because it's BO1. It's not even BO1, but it's still a group stage, and it's a Na'Vi group stage.
And it's Heroic on LAN is another thing.
I want
have they yet come over the whole LAN aspect for Heroic? I'm not sure. And it was the Tessus Cadian show for a lot of this. And Cadian's IGLing, and then on a stage with a neutral crowd, and you're playing against Simple.
Yeah, they're not all going.
You've got an IGL and AWP against, the world's best AWPer in debate with Zywoo, but the world's best.
You can have the world's best AWPer. I don't think.
But player.
You can have.
No, sorry, for Zywoo. For Zywoo currently, I think. For Zywoo, world's best player currently.
With current form, but I think that's because Simple's just playing Valorant.
Yeah, I also agree with that. So I think Na'Vi take this. I don't think... I said this last time that Heroic, I think, have the ability, with the 5 players they have, to all perform, and they've got strong fragging ability in those 5. I'm just not sure if they're gelling properly together. Like, they seem to be struggling.
Since Yabby came in, I don't think it's necessarily Yabby's fault.
So their only loss was day 1 to Mouse, right? And then it was like 2-1 results. And Mouse just brought in a new player. But my concern is just when they come up against a much more difficult opponent. Like, they played against Astralis and they played against Complexity, and it's like
Astralis is
compared to Na'Vi. Like, what is that in comparison? It's just nothing. So. Yeah, I think Na'Vi take that matchup. The next one I think is very interesting. Fury Outsiders. 2 completely different playstyles.
I've got Fury down for that one, but then I've got no belief in Outsiders and never will. And I know that they came out of the group stage and I said I didn't think they would. I still don't think they should have got out of that group stage.
So they beat
I think
Big
it was
2-0 for the win 2-0, MIBR 2-0, and then they lost 2-0 to G2, but everyone in that team, in that group lost 2-0 to G2. And then,
in my mind, I think I said it when we were there, I think that's like one of the weakest, if not the weakest group.
I did.
It might be Group C.
I backed Outsiders in that group because my logic was that James had enough time to prepare. Everyone keeps saying he's one of the smartest minds in Counter-Strike. And then Flit had a great showing, and him and James basically walked them through it. It wasn't really like I do agree it was probably one of the weakest groups, and I didn't expect a big to show up, and they didn't. So Outsiders going through for me was a bit of a no-brainer, but Fury looked good. I think Keskaratu's form is what's going to do this for them. If he can continue this, there's only like a day break since they last been playing, so I don't expect him to really decline. So I'm happy to say Fury as well.
I got Fury.
Again, though,
I think it's going to be like a 2-1, 2-0, but
I think it's a 2-1 because I think Outsiders are still a very competitive team, and I think they're still a tough team just because of the way that they play Counter-Strike.
You have to grind the rounds out against them. You can't just,
So the quarterfinals now, and this is where the matchups become difficult. C9 FaZe.
I've got C9 winning that. I'm not joking.
Okay, why have you got C9 winning that?
Last head-to-head they had, C9 won it. I think that they can match them pound for pound on player. I think that coming out of the major win, the Cologne win, I don't think they're as hungry as they were before. Yeah, I know they want their Grand Slam. Twister already had one of those, mate. It's got the three things. They got the three things they wanted. Carragher's still off the back of the marriage. Yes, they probably had time to practice. I think Cloud9's been putting more effort in recently, and I think based off of previous matchups, current form, I don't know how much FaZe has been preparing up into the playoffs. They might have been. They might have been taking it nice and easy. They are the number one team in the world. I mean, they're really good. I think if anyone's going to take it off them, I think Cloud9 can. I think in a best of three, I think 2-1 Cloud9 personally, but I might be talking out of my arse. But
I do agree that C9 is up there as one of the teams that will be like beating FaZe.
I think stylistically they match up with them quite well as well.
However,
they're quite regimented in comparison to FaZe.
C9 haven't been playing. I think it was like 73 days, maybe it was the stat since they'd played an official leading into the group, and they're probably a bit warmed up, and they've played well, but it's also a fairly easy group in my opinion. They lost to Liquid. They lost to Liquid again. They lost them in Cologne to not make playoffs. They lost them this time. Luckily, they'd already qualified because, well, the systems are bad, but we don't need to get into that. The groups, how people can automatically qualify on day 3. Okay.
I don't think the system works.
But I still think FaZe take this. I think Rops is what they were lacking recently was Rops was really just kind of a bit mediocre for himself. It was always Rain who was kind of in the position you'd expect Rops to be, and Rops in the position you expect Rain to be. In the group stage, Rops has been their top performing player, and I feel like that's what's going to lead them through. Yes, Shiro's about. Yes, Axel's playing well. Inter's had a decent group, but look at the teams in that group. You put them up against the FaZe. I do think that it's a very, very close matchup. I expect overtimes, but I still think FaZe will win it. And if I have to put C9 through with you, if you want me to put C9 through, which I'll happy to do because I do think it's close.
I don't mind. Yeah.
I think Liquid beat them again, and I think Liquid beat Mouse. So I think Liquid have, as long as Liquid beat Fnatic. I don't know how much you've been keeping up with the tier 2 scene, okay? Or not even the tier 2 scene, but there was a Blast qualifier on recently. Ecstatic beat Mouse and Ents. Okay, Ecstatic. I doubt you can even name me a player on Ecstatic. So if I'm looking at this, for me, Liquid's hardest matchup here is Fnatic because of the unknown. I'm happy to put C9 through if you want to do that, but I do think FaZe is the better team.
I agree, but I think that when it comes down to matchup and stylistically, I think Inferno is going to get through on that veto regardless. I think Cloud9 are a better Inferno team than FaZe. Okay. As historical.
And FaZe should pick Nuke into this matchup.
And FaZe should pick Nuke into this matchup, and I think Cloud9 are pretty comfortable in that.
As long as Cloud9 don't pick Nuke again.
They played.
They did in the past.
Played last matchup they played was Overpass, Inferno, Mirage, I believe, and Cloud9 edged them out on Inferno and then edged them out on Mirage. It was only Overpass that FaZe took off of them. I'm not seeing much Overpass out in this group stage. I don't know if I'm wrong.
They played it against Liquid, and I believe that game was.
I think it's probably a punish pick. I think they banned Nuke. I think Overpass gets picked by FaZe because it's the easy punish into
Well,
round
the
9.
thing is,
And then you end up with Inferno as the decider. I think if C9 can leave Inferno up to the end of the beat and pick it as the decider, because FaZe Carrigan's got that little chip on his shoulder about Inferno, and it always ends up being he likes picking it or like leaving it up and letting being like, oh, go on then, pick the Inferno.
Well,
me.
wouldn't it be convenient if FaZe threw a 15-9 lead against C9 at the EPL season 16 quarterfinals? Wouldn't that be funny?
I just feel
for the jovialness of it, and the whole backstory of FaZe and C9. I am happy to put C9 down just so we can see a different type of bracket. But I think many will side with FaZe in this matchup. But I think it is
100%.
funny just for the
I can understand why you would.
If it's the third map on Inferno, I will be rooting for C9.
Watch complexity win both games.
Okay, Mao's Liquid. I'm saying Liquid. Mao's, after they did their win of the group going 4-1, who was the team they lost to? It was Astralis, which is an odd one. They lost 2-0 to Astralis. I still think Liquid win this. I like Surgeon as the pickup to the team. I think they've got really good players, but I think that Liquid with Yakinda, again, it comes down to an IGL style for me. I think Nitro and Yakinda will just work better than what Dexter can do single-handedly with such young players on his team. I think maybe I don't think
Yakinda's as good as Manx and Queenix and Cavi, my boy Brazer, Carrigan's little brother.
There we go.
I think they.
I think Liquid take this, and I will be stubborn about this one.
You can put Liquid through if you want. I just think you're being biased. I think Mouse.
I probably am being fairly biased. I like the Mouse roster. You know how much I love Dexter.
No, I know.
I love Dexter.
I can see why you want to put Liquid down, but I've got Fnatic winning that game, so I can't.
Okay, we'll put Liquid because okay, at this point you can see that although we are making fair points about both teams, some of these picks might not be completely accurate of what the pair of us want, but we think this might be a fun option, especially the C9 FaZe one. But truthfully, I think that can go either way.
I've got C9 down winning my pick'em on my account. That's all I'm saying.
So G2 Na'Vi.
That's why I'm losing the groups.
G2 had a solid group stage. They didn't
I've
drop
got G2 winning that game.
Single map.
I've got G2 winning that game.
I think if Na'Vi come out the way that they did in groups, I don't disagree with you. I think Nico came back to the star that we expect from him. And
Na'Vi qualified with 2 wins.
The same as NIP in a group with and Spirit.
Endpoint, Nip, and Spirit in it. Na'Vi qualified with 2 wins.
I think as well. Oh no, I think that might just be.
And I know we were saying Na'Vi's got a weak group stage and Na'Vi's da. But and there are some complications. Somebody's friends with Andrew Tate, but it's like. It can't affect the whole of the organisation that badly, can it? Realistically,
it shouldn't affect their teams. Surely not. I'm down to say G2. Look, Na'Vi have an incredible roster. They have the best AWPer in the world. They've got Bit and Perfecto, who are some of the best riflers in the world, as well as Electronic. Some Young slots in okay. He needs the.
Unless you catch like Nico or Hooksy smoking some big cigars anytime soon, then you just don't worry about it.
I just think G2 have looked so much more disciplined since Hooksy's come in.
Yeah, no, he's been really good at it, I think.
The way they play, so it used to be that G2 would just lose rounds they shouldn't be losing, and then sometimes they just win rounds they shouldn't be winning. I think it's now less of them losing those rounds that they shouldn't be losing, and now they're just kind of in that spot where they are winning some more rounds where they should be winning, and playing disciplined in those rounds that they shouldn't be losing so that they don't lose them. I think they look a lot better. I think JKS needs to find some consistency, because I could go on and on about JKS and how much I think he can add to a squad and how good of a player I think he is.
Got a little spot in your heart for Australian CS.
But he's not shown it yet. I want him to show it. I need him to show it, because otherwise it's a concern for this team. But I'm down to say G2. I think Na'Vi look a bit weak. I just don't think Simple's head's completely in it at the minute. That's all.
Seeing Cloud9 and Liquid in the top side of your bracket, and I'm questioning what fucking year it is.
I can't wait for Freakazoid to play.
Oh,
Vitality Furia. I know where your head's at.
Vitality.
I am also in the same boat. I think that Furia have a great style of calling to go into this match, but ZywOo is just too damn good. Like the fact that you've got ZywOo who's playing at his peak form for me. Like this group stage was insane.
I don't know. I think 2019, like those. What was it called? What's the event? It was kind of chill, and they were playing from the rooms. What's it called?
Summit. Yeah, I love Summit.
The Summit and the event afterwards. I think that was like his best form.
And
but yeah,
I think he's top. He's top of the stat page right now. I think under him is Cascarato. So it's two of the top performing players at this tournament right now playing against each other. But I think when you look at the impact that an AWP has compared to what a rifle has, and the fact that there's ZywOo who can also rifle and did rifle quite a fair bit in the group stage.
And I think he came out of the hardest group of all four.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
5 for 5.
Yeah.
And he's got the best scoreline.
Against the second best team in the world, against NIP who should have turned up, Fnatic who shocked people, Spirit who looked competitive at the last major, and even Wonderful played well. So there's kind of a discussion there of, would they look better with Dexter? But Wonderful did great from what you could expect at his first tournament. And Endpoint, I mean, well, we knew they were going to be Endpoint, but I don't really think that.
Your only real concern with Vitality is Apex having an absolute like dire performance and going like -40 or something silly, which has been known to happen.
Yep.
And how Spinks will do.
I think he'll do a lot better than he.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think regardless, it's better than having Masuta.
Yeah, but
if he does lick the floor.
So now we have our semi-finals. My word, we don't even have the best and second best team in here. I think is third best Liquid right now, and like fifth best is Movistar. Movistar's in the top 5. I
think if it is, it's like full copium.
Yeah,
there's no way Liquid's top 5.
C9 Liquid, based on their last two results. Based on their last two results,
I've got Mouse in the final.
You have Mouse in the final. You are out of your mind. You are out of your. You have Mouse. Okay, we're gonna get to this at the end. C9 Liquid, if they play again, I am saying Liquid once more. They've proved it twice. They've proved it on LAN. Oh, not on LAN, but they beat them twice. Not on LAN, but
go on, get the hoodie out.
I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere over there. We're saying Liquid, yeah?
Go on then. Yeah,
yes, Liquid in the finals.
That's the slot I've got Mouse in.
G2 Vitality, they played twice at Blast, and they were both best of 3s, I believe. I believe they were both best of 3s. I could be completely wrong, but I'm fairly sure they were. And it went Vitality's way the first time, and then G2's way the second time.
Yeah, so, best of 3, G2, 1-2-1.
Based on the results, they are tied on their recent matches. I would honestly say, right now, this game is the closest of any game that could possibly come out of this. That's my opinion on this, because I think ZywOo is at a great form. If Nico shows the same form he showed in the group stage, then that is a scary G2. The fact that they are more disciplined, and Nico is performing at the way we expect him to perform, as long as they don't play Nuke, then they should be fine.
There's no need.
And look, if they get to the final...
There's no need.
If we...
G2's already dead. They're already dead.
Well, look, let's finish them off, because if G2 gets to the final, it's a best of 5. What's the chances they lose 3-0 in the final? What's the chances?
They'll lose their League of Legends spot next.
Oh, dear. Oh, what a week. Okay, so G2 Vitality, what's your opinions? I know you are a fan of both teams, but Vitality more so now.
I'm just an Apex fan, so I'm a moron, is what you're asking. I love Apex. I think he's going to win. No, I think probably pound for pound, I think you've got more firepower on G2 overall.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Unless Spinks like steps him up a little bit, which I expect Spinks to develop more in this roster.
I think it's more Dupree that you look at in the squad. He's the guy.
I think Dupree has been licking the floor recently. I don't know, like whether or not he's in like kind of bitch spots. In positions where he's kind of. I saw him playing like pit and stuff on Inferno on that short position, falling back into pit playing. You should be able to get a lot of free points there. It looks like he's being set up for some open goals, but
it could be to do with the international thing still not entirely clicking with him. But he seemed to speak good English. I know that's different in a team scenario. I just don't know what it is.
It doesn't look great. It might probably be, if there was going to be a communication problem, it would be less that Dupree's struggling with his English and more that he's struggling to understand oui.
Yeah, because Apex has a very strong French accent.
They got strong, and Zywu as well. He's recently learning English. He's not had Apex has had the interviews for years where he's done a bit of English, but Zywu you did the interview with him and he was like no to everything you said.
Yeah,
and it's quite strong still when he's, which is understandable. I can't speak two languages.
Yeah,
but you can imagine there'd be some sort of issue there. But I don't know. I think Dupree began to come down a little bit towards the end of Astralis anyway.
Well, yeah, but in the early days of Astralis, he was the guy that was like consistently third of the table. He was always.
It sort of became Magis though, didn't it?
Magis took over definitely. He got the MVP at one of the majors.
And it's like Dupree and Zitnik sat at the bottom fighting for who was the worst.
Well, it was him and Glaive, and then Dupree was there. And
it was never bad. It was never bad.
Because I do remember picking him.
I don't think he's that much of a powerhouse anymore.
Yeah, I remember picking him in our dream teams, and he was good.
That's because Astralis was like
just
Tiger and Flint. It didn't matter when you picked because they won everything. So like you could have any of the Astralis players, and they went like Zitnix was going positive, and you look at him now, and you're like,
yeah, it was the point in time where people were still picking Glaive because they just knew he'd be fine. G2, Vitality. I think G2. It's close.
Vitality.
Can you really?
Vitality.
Can you really cope that hard?
So I was gonna kill them all, my boy.
Do you?
I've got Vitality down. But,
of course you do.
I mean, I think it could go either way.
If it's Vitality, isn't that a repeat of one of the EPLs a few years ago when Liquid won the Grand Slam?
Might be actually because they threw Vitality in the final, didn't they?
Yeah.
Was it through?
I believe so. I just don't think
Vitality was like when you had Liquid, you had Astralis, Liquid, and Vitality.
Yeah, and
the top three.
Vitality would just win events every.
Astralis would always beat because Astralis would always beat Liquid, but Vitality were the team, one team where you'd get the odd win against Astralis because Astralis had got around this thing of counteracting Simple, who's this big player, goes out, makes big flashy plays, makes the big risk, goes for like get 2 or 3 for him to die. Whereas I was the guy who like clears every angle and is just methodical about it. So their counter play towards Simple obviously is to go straight at him, shut him down, make sure it's always a 1-for-1 in situations that you can, and then the rest of the team you can dismember as if you were any other squad, and pound for pound you're the better squad, you're playing the better Counter-Strike on paper. It's just you've got this big demon at the back with an AWP who runs around and gets 3 kills every round. So if you push and shut him down, he's gone. Whereas I was a whole different beast because you watch the guy play the game, it's not the same thing. He doesn't every now and then you get the big highlight when he's up against back against the corner, but he doesn't run out and go for the stupid shit generally. He's the guy who's like, you watch it's the one before he's got on the Mirage site, and the guy's, is it Tarek? He's planted at the bomb, he gets it down the last second, he's planting Tetris. He's like, he doesn't run out onto the site and hit the bomb and go, where is he? He's like clearing every angle. It doesn't matter if there's a big crowd, it doesn't matter if it's a final or what. Like there might be like an exhalation afterwards of like kind of relief, but you don't ever see it cross his face or his game. There's not an ounce of shaking. It's a completely different ball game. So you had like Vitality with the guys that could beat Astralis. Liquid could never beat Astralis, but Liquid would beat Vitality. So if Astralis and Liquid were in the semi-final and Astralis won, there was a chance when Vitality came into the final, they could take down the Beast. But if it came Liquid Vitality, Liquid would win. And if it became, obviously, most of the time Astralis would hit Vitality and they'd win. But if it, you caught them on the right day, that's where the wins would come from. Liquid would beat Vitality. Vitality would sometimes beat Liquid, but it would be less often than they beat Astralis. It was really weird like that, and Astralis was alwaady dumbstring Liquid.
Nip would beat Vitality.
So it would be around. Yeah, it was weird because Nip was shit then as
Yeah,
well.
I know. And they just beat Vitality.
It's a style thing, wasn't it? It's just I don't
Yeah.
know.
So are you
Which is why I think Cloud9 beats Face.
okay? Are you confident that Vitality beat G2?
I'm not confident. I'm delirious.
So who are we putting through?
You can put G2 if you so
Who
wish, but I have Vitality.
do you? So you
I've
think
got
Vitality? I think this is close enough to the point where I'm happy to put Vitality, but I do
Okay.
also think, and I will say this, I think they are still unproven. Yes, they 5-0
Well, you put
Liquid.
G2. I'm happy. I said I'm happy if you to put G2.
Okay,
I've
we'll
got
put,
Vitality.
all right, we'll put G2 then. We'll put G2. Liquid G2 in the final.
Vitality. I think Vitality win the final.
I think if this is the actual final, I think G2 choke in a best of 5.
They choke on Liquid.
They choke on Liquid. Well, you got 2 chokers in the final. It's a best of 5 though. I just think both of their map pools aren't going to be solidified quite just yet. But Liquid have had to change less.
It probably goes something silly like Dust on the 4th map.
As a coping fanboy of Liquid and an AFA, big.
Oh no,
big fan
G2
of
picked
AFA.
Dust, don't they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, man.
I'm happy to go with Liquid. I don't think this is going to be the final. Like, if this is the final and we are correct with our picks, we have done something. Our brains
What have we done?
are huge. Look at this
Up
bracket.
until now, I've been like, okay, that's semi-reasonable what you're saying, and then I've seen the
and then we
final
say
and
that
you expect to
Liquid win and we save it. Yeah, cool. Should we take a look at our fantasy teams? First up is I want to look at yours first, actually.
Mine is outstanding. Tell me it
I
is.
just want to double check to see if Brandon has updated his yet.
Fantasy teams are a lot like Vitality.
He's not. Okay, so your team.
Top heavy.
Actually, we'll look at Freddie's team first. So he's got Kisarato, Ray and Rops,
And like Telos,
JKS,
which is
and
bottom
Messi. That's a other story. I like the Kisarato pick. I like Ray and Rops because realistically, I think FaZe should make finals. JKS is solid. He's probably still a decent price. Messi, I know that Freddie is a huge
I think
fanatic fanboy.
Serato's a bad gamble is what I mean. Sorry, I think the Fnatic gamble was good. I think Fnatic get to play at least 2 best of 3s.
Okay.
You don't,
No.
but I do. I think JKS is a big gamble given the context of recent time. I don't know that he's on the form to be picking him.
Yeah.
Over the other options.
I think this team is solid in terms of like price to performance.
The idea. Yeah.
Like you've got some solid fraggers. Kesserato's like had some incredible form.
I just don't think Keserato lasts 1 best of 3. Like he gets 2 best of 3s, I guess. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not what I would have done. It's fine.
I like the Rain and Rops pick. I've got the same in my team. I just don't know if JKS and Messi are. I think JKS is probably going to play a lot of games. Messi has a chance to, but yeah, I don't mind this team. I like Keserato there. So we'll take a look at your team.
It's one of those. You get a lot.
This is.
I don't like the way they weight it.
What in terms of money?
No, I don't like the way they weight it in terms of where if you only play 1 best of 3.
Oh, right.
And then the other guy plays like 4. Like if you pick somebody in playoffs round 1 and their team goes all the way to the finals, you're getting more points than if you pick somebody who's in the quarterfinals, so who has performed better throughout the tournament, but they're in the quarterfinals, so the max they can play is 3 games. So if you pick somebody from the team that goes finals from quarterfinals, the guy that picks playoffs, I think they could have handled that.
Yeah,
But I think
it's tough to...
it's just struggling with the format, and they try to keep it consistent. So
if we look at your team, you have Zaiwu and Simple. And then you've got Carrigan, Apex, and Hooksy. So if you have questioned any of our picks during that pick'em stage of the playoffs, well, you can look at this team and you can understand why. Because you've just said to me that Na'Vi are going to lose to G2, and you've still spent 239,000. It might be for Simple. Okay.
I know I'm wrong.
Okay, that's a good start.
How many points have I got in the group stages on betting on which team's going through?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So I looked at my gut feeling and I went, right, I'm going to do the opposite. So Daiwu, he's the best performing player at the event.
Yep.
He's an easy little stat hunter. He's going to farm these teams. I've got Vitality going through to the final. Obvious choice. I've got Apex in there as the leader because you get points for if his team wins. So even if he plays like dog, he's nice and cheap. And Vitality are going to win the whole thing. So easy sailing.
And I just...
simple, rack up a bunch of points. I think there's
problem.
a chance that Na'Vi beat G2. And in that instance, I think he's going to farm heroic. I think he'll do decent against G2, even if they do lose. I think it's not a final, so he won't, have his negative rating of the last couple of months. If it's a final, I don't want him on my team anymore. But can he get to semis and get eliminated, max? Because he just goes like 0.9, 0.8 when he goes into a final for some reason. We all said Nico was the big choker. He can't shoot people in the back of the head, but Simple can't shoot anybody in a final.
Do you not think with your team that you have 2 players that are going to gain loads of points, but then 3 players that are just going to completely outdo them in minuses?
No.
I like the leadership on Apex.
Leadership on Apex is good. I think they're going to go far.
But
Noob on Hooksy,
if he performs this is what I had to explain to Brandon. If he performs so badly,
I don't think he will though. We've all got his initial performances in our head where he went 2-20 and all that. But we haven't seen that since that event. We haven't seen that since he was kind of tossed in last minute. We haven't seen anything like that. He's been we've got a couple of games where he's like 14-20. That's IGLing for you. That's what happens to him. They lick the floor, but they say the right thing.
You got 3 of them.
He's been saying the right thing. Yeah, Carrigan's not that bad. T-side, so
can we all remember the Dust 2 Carrigan highlight montage, please?
No,
all 1 minute of it.
You need to think about it pragmatically. Carrigan's whole thing is on his T side. He grabs like some shit SMG and he goes and sprints out somewhere in the team and he's debate. So I've got him down as defender because he's going to get most of his points from the CT side. It makes sense.
I hope that you do not score highly in this league. If you score like loads of points, then everything I have ever thought about this is just wrong. Okay.
This team's goated. I'm sorry, I'm winning.
All right, well, look at mine.
I did this in Group A. I picked Zywoo and then 4 people that did meh or
Zywoo
really bad.
played well, but you've picked Zywoo and Simple. Anyway, my team here. I've got Zywoo as well. I do agree that I think he has got the potential to go far into this tournament, and he is going to be unreal. I've got Rain and Robs because I expect FaZe to go to the final.
That's why you agreed with the Apex leader.
I didn't even remember I had him on that, to be completely honest with you. But I think Apex... Here's the issue with my last 2 players. I've got Nitro. I don't know if Liquid will go far into this tournament, but if they do, then he stops losing me points. And if Apex does well, so Apex is already guaranteed like 15 points because they don't play in the first round. But if they then win games after, then he gets me points. And he got me, I think he was my highest rated player in the first group because Nip shit the bed so hard. So I'm kind of gambling on that.
So I look up on your face when Complexity knocks FaZe out first day.
If they do, then I'm doomed. Because I think the gamble that everyone's going for, right? You either go for 2 C9 players, 2 Vitality players, 2 G2 players, or 2 Na'Vi players. I think that's the 4 options here because they are the most likely people to make finals.
Can we appreciate, right? Yeah, so Karen. No, I'll let Karen, yeah.
But I think they are the most likely teams to make finals. And my last option...
I think Vitality and Mouse are the most likely teams to make finals, yes.
You are deluded. You are out of your mind. Where is your Mouse hope? Where are your Mouse players at?
Just look at the matchups. It just makes sense.
Just makes sense, he says.
What should beat Liquid? I can't wait for the look on your face.
If they beat Liquid... Oh my goodness. Oh, I hope not. They have the potential to do it as well. I even know that deep down, but we got them in the final. That's the way it's going to happen. Anyway, this is our fantasy teams. That's our absurd pick'em, which I will go back to just quickly.
Just like to remind you, in Group A,
Yeah.
I had Zaiwu with 180 points,
Okay.
Mighty Max with minus 30 because you told me I wouldn't pick him, so I did. Hampus with minus 46.
Yep.
So I had a total of minus 76 points over these two players. Bit gave me 15 points. Apex out of nowhere gave me 72. I gave him leader there as well. So he was just farming points from Zoe winning them games, and I won. Of the four of us, I won that group. Can I remind you when you're criticising Zoe?
If you win,
that is what happened.
I can't deal if you win. If you win, I can't deal with it. But we'll see what happens.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hey guys, it's a little bit of a special edition here on the Pinnacle podcast series because I actually can't be there for the final episode, but I wanted to throw my hat into the ring, kind of give you an overview of my pick'ems and also do this fantasy team because I've heard the boys have kind of trolled on the pick'ems, and I'm here to give you a more direct and clever approach into how I think the playoffs is actually going to go. I think before we jump into the pick'em, let's quickly do our fantasy. You know that I don't really take the fantasy all that seriously. I pick players that I kind of like and I kind of just roll with. I actually did really well in the final Group D, so that's kind of spurred me on now that I am doing all right to try and do a little bit more. So easy, I'm going to try and speed run the pick'em. I'm going to go with Carrigan because I think FaZe are going to make it all the way through. Twists is an obvious pick for me as well. Scrolling on down, I want to have Spinks. I just think he's going to perform very well for Vitality. They're very good in Group A. I don't want any of G2. I feel like it's a risk. Mouse, they're interesting. They are kind of on a really weird yo-yo trajectory of form. However, on LAN, they've been performing quite well. So I'm going to steal JDC. So that means I've got one more player, yeah. Heroic, I don't really want to touch. Outsiders, I don't really want to touch either. Complexity, I can't see it. Neither can Fnatic, I'm sorry. Yakinda. Not really too much that needs to be said. I think that's easy enough. Let's go ahead and update the team. Leader, headshot machine, defender, support, entry. Not too difficult whatsoever. Now, let's take a look at our pick'ems. I've heard this has been a bit interesting. Oh, look, Na'Vi's going to beat Heroic. Fury are going to beat Outsiders. That one's going to be a weird game. Make no mistake, that one's going to be interesting. Fnatic Liquid, honestly, this one has the most potential for upset. So we're going to go Fnatic. FaZe will beat Complexity. FaZe should beat Cloud9. Mouse should beat Fnatic on that basis. And then Na'Vi will beat G2. I'm sorry, it's happening. Vitality Fury, Vitality should win that. And I'm going to back them. So I'm going to say that Vitality will win. Semi-finals of Pro League, and I got FaZe, Mouse Sports, Na'Vi, Vitality. I can actually see Vitality beating Na'Vi. Because Na'Vi have been a bit interesting. They only just made it through. I feel like FaZe will be in the final. Do you know what? We've seen FaZe Na'Vi so many times. I'm going to go Vitality. And an overall winner, FaZe Clan. Not too difficult. Right, I'll see you in a bit.
This has been our fantasy picks. Our teams are, I mean, you'll see Brandon's as well. Hopefully he'll be able to put something out for us before this goes up so that you can see what he puts up. Yeah, don't take our picks as fact. These are a little bit of what we hope will happen just because some of the teams we like. It's a bit absurd, just like Emu's team. So yeah, just have a bit of fun with this. See what you can. Take some players you like. There's a lot of talent here. Anything can happen in this playoff stage. Just on LAN. Who knows what's gonna go on with it. But if you want to join, there'll be a link in the description. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed.